Hello everyone, welcome back to Rolling Line. I want to start with creating an outline for our track to go on, creating some tables, and also start placing some track and get some trains running. I think it's going to pretty much take the entire time. Laying track is very complex in this game. You have lots of options, hence the whole point of the game is literally a model train simulator. It makes sense. When it comes to track, you have lots of options. I won't cover all the options. We'll get to them as we go. We'll start with some basics, and then we're going to go from there. First thing I'm going to do is destroy this. We're going to go to multi-paint, and before I start placing a whole bunch of stuff, I want to get some good colors. And there's a few ways you can go about this. As we build out the layout, I will probably come back and change some of this, but just to help get it started, we're going to pull this up here. We're going to go to paints. We're going to kind of set this up to make our terrain work a little bit easier. Now, if you're really wanting to go hyper detailed, this is probably a bit unnecessary, but for something basic, this is going to be plenty. We're going to do a pretty basic temperate kind of layout with a bit of a spring, summertime kind of deal. We're going to grab a nice green, and we're going to paint the top green. That's a crazy idea. I actually don't mind this gray for the side. I think it's pretty inconspicuous, so we're going to leave it. And now we have this green. As we copy and paste this, it keeps all the colors. So we'll set the first one. If you set all these, you'll have to go in and manually paint them. It's a bit of a pain. No, I've been thinking about what kind of layout I want this to be. I'm leaning towards a more traditional folded dog bone style because I think it'll be easier to do scenery. I'll make it a bit long. This could be a bit big. Now, as I go, we start laying track, and we get a feel for the curve radius and different things like that. It's easy to come back in and change these tables. So I like this for now. Let's leave it. What I'm going to do here, I'm not going to start by laying out the entire thing because I know part of what I want. This area here is going to be a return loop, which is going to send the trains back down this aisle right here. Now, you can go with the traditional oval. So like I could just do a big oval of track and make a big rectangle. But by doing a bit of a folded dog bone shape like this, where literally this is like the end of a dog bone, you know, like a bone kind of deal, right? And I have the tracks funneled through this narrow area, is that it gives me a chance to do some detailed scenery without being... It gives me more run for the trains without having to do a whole load of scenery. Now, doing a lot of detailing and stuff can take a long time, and especially on this little demo, on this demo map, I don't need to show you everything about scenery and detailing and doing it at a huge scale, so by keeping it simple, I think it'll make it a little bit easier, and it will probably be easier for new people as well. And this will give me enough options. I think this will be good, and there's some cool stuff we can mess around with and do. Now this looks rough, right? And if you look through the table options, let's go to table options. Room, table. There's a lot of curves, and I could go ahead and start putting some curves here. I can rotate these to fit. But we're going to just do basic squares. We're going to get some track laid to get a feel for the curve radiuses, and I'll show you guys some of this. And then we'll come back in and actually refine the table to reflect exactly what I want. If I make this super perfect now and it turns out, oh, this isn't wide enough, that would really suck. So I want to avoid that. So we're going to do pretty minimal table, get some curves, get some basic track plan laid out, and then go in and refine the tables so that it fits and looks just the way I want. Okay, I think all these are saved. Yes, they are. So we're going to go into track. All right. Oh man, track in this game is interesting. The way track is handled is not necessarily the same way you would handle track in a real model, like in the physical world, right? In the physical world, you have to pick a scale, right? And then you're working with Earth dimensions. This sounds weird to say, but you have your it's in centimeters and inches and all this stuff. This game does not use centimeters and inches as a unit of measurement. It has its own length and radius, and they're just arbitrary numbers. So it makes it a little bit it makes it a little bit interesting to explain radius and all this different stuff, and it's just a little different. So if you're used to working on a model train in the real world, you're used to working with physical measurements. This game doesn't quite have that. It has its own measurements. It's not the end of the world. You get used to it pretty quick, but it is something to just be aware of. Now, there's lots of pre-done track, and there's a few pieces in here that are really important, and we'll go over some of these. We'll go through the other menus just to see what the other big editing options are. So we can see here with these turnouts, which we'll go back into, they have different things of separation, which is just in numbers. Not like, 3 centimeter separation. It's 0.7. Whole bunch of different curves here. Turntables, roundhouses, double crossovers, and custom track, which you can see is all this stuff right here. Now, if you're new to model trains or trains in general, we'll go through the basics pretty quick with the different types of track. Effectively, there's 3. One is going to be straights. We're going to grab this track here, and we're going to place the track. Okay, you can see it's snapping on a grid. Oh, this is very nice. I don't remember if it did this. I feel like this is different. Huh, it's on a grid. Oh, this is really nice. I don't think it did this before. Sorry, distracted. We're going to place a straight. Straight is pretty self-explanatory. The trains go straight. Curve. The trains will curve. Turnout. This is how trains will go different directions, right? You can have a train go this way. You can have a siding. We can do different things like that. This is pretty much it. There's a few special variations on all of these, but the game simplifies it really nicely into this. The real world, you have things like bridges, and there's maybe different kinds of track and different things, but it's all here. It's all really nice and simple. There's no narrow gauge built into the game. So in the vanilla game, it's just standard, whatever standard gauge track. And obviously, real world, you have narrow gauge and monorail, and you have other options, right? There's other things you can do, but this game keeps it pretty simple. There's mods that add narrow gauge. Maybe we'll go into that at some point. But the game does a really nice job of simplifying it into this. Now, there's some other terminology we'll use as we go along. Most of it's going to be with turnouts. Turnouts are the particularly complex piece of track. There's lots of things you can do with turnouts, which we'll definitely try. Some of it you can see is already in here with these 0.7 separations and 1 separations. And we'll go into a little bit about this. Curves. Curves are a really weird one in the game. Typically, real world, you work with very specific radiuses. If we go into the track editor, this is a little bit clearer, where you can see things like angle and radius, and right and left, and also multiple tracks. This track editor is really important, and I will probably go straight into just mostly using track editor track across the whole layout, because there's certain features with this that will make everything we do in the future a lot easier. Most of it has to do with multiple track, because what's cooler than one train going around when you can have 2 trains going around? But just to show how the game works with track, we're going to just use this basic first panel just to show you literally how this works. We're going to grab this sharper curve right here. We're going to use the straight. Maybe I don't even bother putting it on here. Maybe. Nah, we'll put it on here. Why not? Okay, so we'll take a straight. Maybe do a couple straights. And we're going to start by making a pretty simple oval. Oh, that's not quite straight with this. It's annoying. So, as I'm placing track, I can pick this previously played down piece to copy it. So as I place the track, I can just click this, hold down left click. As I hold down left click, and I do this on both ends, you'll see a little ghost version of the track as it's about to place, right? And with curves, I can rotate it so I can go left and right. Straights, you can technically hit Q and E, but it doesn't really do anything. And I can do an entire track layout just like this. Right. And we can do, and if I keep in mind here, this basic track works out nice. So as I place, I don't know how many this is, 3, 4, so is this 8 curved pieces of track will get me to exactly, it'll be exactly parallel with this track. This track here is exactly parallel with this track. It's perfect. Real world track length, this is a little, like model train stuff is a little bit more complicated because track has a bit of give. But this game works to digital perfection. Now, as we use custom track, this may not quite work out. But for demonstration, we can just know that this is exact. Okay, so we'll do a couple straights, and we'll do our curves. So 4 curves gets me a 90-degree turn. So it's now a perfect 90-degree turn. Well, it would be if this was completely parallel with the table, which it's not. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be parallel with the table. It needs to be parallel with the rest of the track. Now, as we modify track, like if I take out this curve, I can fill it back in really easy. Now, knowing where tracks align to in this game can be really helpful because it can make track laying a lot easier. Now, there is the gap fill track, which we'll show you in a little bit if I get to it in this video. And that gap fill track is really helpful to fix slight imperfections. So you don't have to worry about breaking this grid too much. But if you're new, sticking on the grid, like on this kind of snap grid, can be really helpful. So we'll go back here. Finish off the track. Now, as I place the last piece, it does connect. If the game snaps, all the tracks have to snap together. If you're ever running into a situation where, let's say, you're modifying, let's say you're doing anything probably a bit more complex than this, and you need to connect a weird gap where maybe this curve doesn't quite exactly snap to this straight. It can be helpful to just use this gap fill track. We'll grab one. If you hold it down, it will connect both pieces. That can be really helpful for connecting weird pieces. If you notice that as you're running trains, they just hit a certain piece of track and they just come off the track, it's probably because it didn't quite snap perfectly. And it might look like it should be good enough, but because this is a video game, you need to kind of work with it. Now, obviously, this is already fine. This would work just fine, but I'm going to go. Just wanted to show you that. Now, we've done all these changes. We've placed some track. We're going to hit Apply Changes. And we can see here we now have this. We can't pick up the track. It's locked in. Okay. We're going to go to Trains. We're going to start with a basic train. Let's do... Ooh, what kind of train do we want to run? Let's do something small. Let's... Oh, where'd it go? Come back here. Diesel. Let's do, like, the Santa Fe F unit. This is a classic. I think everyone's got one of these in a starter set at some point. We're going to delete this. Sorry. When you're picking up trains... I should have shown this. There's... left click to this. We'll hold you when you're picking up trains. English is my first language. We'll pick it up. We hold down left click, and we get a few options. Most of it isn't super imperative with this, but it will snap to the track. I don't think you'll even let you hold down left click to place it anywhere else. Now if we right click, we can pick up the train. So if we left click the train, right click the train to pick up. We can use Q. No, what is it? F, E, D. Never mind. It's right click. Okay. I haven't played this in a hot minute. If we right click again, we drop it. And we'll kind of just leave it here. And it just sits. It exists in its own little thing. And it's not on the track. This can be useful when you're messing with a lot of stuff and you need to drop something. We can just throw the train down. In this case, we're going to snap it onto the track. We do have the option to place its direction. So we can have it face this direction. And now we have a train. Or a locomotive, at least. So if we pull up the second control, this is already in your inventory. If you ever lose these, which I do regularly, if you go to room, it's on the first page. It's the controller. So this is the controller. Hello. Hello, controller. This is pretty much the basic way to operate your trains. There's a few other ways you can do it, but for what I'm going to do, 90% of the time I'm using this to control my trains. We can hold down left click. You get a little laser beam, and it turns white when we hover over a train or a locomotive. This needs to be something that's powered. Okay, so there you go. Now we have selected it, and it made a bunch of starting up noises, and it gives us the name of the locomotive. So this is a ATSF Santa Fe F7 unit, number 065A. It doesn't have any of the A's and stuff on it. Or it does have 065 on the front. Oh, okay, there you go. It does have the numbers. So this is a pretty nondescript. It doesn't actually say Santa Fe on it because that would be that would probably be a copyright issue. But we have it selected. It's humming. It's good. Now we have a few options to increase and decrease speed, which is Q and E. Now, as I hit E to increase speed, it kind of works a little bit like real model trains, where you basically have speed steps, and it tells you there's a little white rectangle under forward, and there's also a little speed, and it says 8. Now, if I hit decrease speed, the locomotive will stop. So as you can see, it just will incrementally go up and get faster, and you can just use the same number of clicks to go back to resting. So if we do forward once, twice, 3 times, it's just 3 clicks to bring it back to a stop. So this is our locomotive on our nice oval of track, our basic train starter set track. We can speed this guy up. And you'll see it's going to hopefully run perfectly. We're going to test out the track. There are advanced options for headlights and different things. You have to check the control menu. I don't remember all these presets off the top of my head. Oh, no. I'm going to mess around with stuff. We'll go into those later. I'm going to have to do a refresher. But for what we're doing, it's not terribly important. No. I'm mostly wondering to see if I can remember what the horn one is. Oops. Obviously, if you hit decrease speed, decrease won't just take it to 0. Decrease will also put it into reverse. So that is how you go into reverse. It says to check controls. Maybe let's do controls. Over here on this side is controls. Controls. Movement. Train control. Bell is B. caps lock is horn. That, I might want to change that. Do I have to have it move? I'm hitting B and it's not doing anything. Let's say caps lock. Okay. Okay, that works. Maybe he doesn't have a bell? Maybe F7s don't have bells? Okay. Maybe we'll pull out a different locomotive and try a bell. But there's some sounds. There's, some mods will also use different, different controls. They can build some of these in. We might go over that at some point, but not right now. Okay. Now, a locomotive is fantastic on its own. Beautiful piece of engineering. Absolutely amazing. But what really makes a locomotive great is something to pull. It needs cargo. And this is a perfect little freight train. So we're going to go back into the train, and we're going to go find some freight cars, some nondescript freight cars. We'll grab the Santa Fe one. That's not Santa Fe. As you place these, you will see you can flip directions. Some of these things, like a boxcar, if I have it swapped the other way, not a huge deal. Some will have different options for colors, so as we place them, you'll see these have different colors. This nice boxcar can have a few variations. That's always kind of fun. Oops. I didn't do that yet. We haven't showed that off yet. I was curious to see... There's a few road names and options. Pro name. Some of this I don't remember. Okay. Well, there you go. There's a few options. When you're hovering over the train, you can use push left and right to disconnect and reconnect. And there's a little noise. So you can see the coupler. There's the coupler. If we push this right, connects, disconnects, just like you'd probably expect. It does exactly what you'd think. Very nice, very convenient. That's how that works. We can grab a few different cars. There's a few like coal cars. So I think with some of these. Name, number, AI tags. No, we don't want to do that. Name, number. Pick this up. I think it's... Nope. How do I do that? I swear there's a way to see... I think maybe the official ones don't... I don't use the official cars very often. Is it liveries? No. Controls. Advanced train control. Main light L. Toggle custom models. Hold... Ah, that's what it is. Okay, so it's shift and then 1. That's okay. That's what I thought. Wrapping this up. Hold shift. Okay, these don't have custom models, so that's a shame. Some mods will have custom models, which is where I hit shift and I hit 1, 2, and etc. So you can actually change the load of some of these open top, like these open top hopper, or these are just open top cars. You can set different loads, and it looks like these don't have that built in. It's annoying. Well, maybe we'll do some modded ones, and we'll do that. No, here's the modded screen. I don't. Interesting. It looks like it reset a lot of my mods. Okay, well that's isn't as crazy as I thought it was gonna be. Oh wait, am I in liveries? What is this? Page man. Oh, I'm in liveries. Never mind. Here's my 180 pages of mods. Okay, never mind. They're still here. We're good. I was like, oh boy, am I gonna have to go find all those? Oh, okay. Whew. Okay, we're not messing around with that. We're not messing around with that. Not for the not for this like second recording session. Yeah, let's not go into 180 pages of mods. Oh dear. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, we've made a train. We have connected the cars. Oh gosh. Okay, so we're gonna turn him on, get him moving. You'll notice it pulls all the cars. The one thing I wish the game did, this is really subtle, but you know, real trains, if this is pulling it, as it pulls, it's going to have to build tension in each car. So it has to pull, like this will pull, and it will eventually achieve full tension with this car, and then that'll pull that car and that car. So then the cars at the end wouldn't start moving at the same time that locomotive does, but the game doesn't quite have that built in. That'd be a really cool little subtle detail to have them add. So as this, that's just a little sidebar. Alright, so as the train goes, we can change the speeds, really crank it up to 100, literally. Look at him go. We can hold down tab to enter miniature mode. And the basic tutorial covers this, I believe. I don't use this very often. I don't know why. I just don't end up using it very often. But we can see our train. This is a little terrifying. Look at our train go. Now, we'll hit tab to go back to big. Okay, we're gonna stop him. So, this is a pretty basic turn. But you can see, and we'll go into this more in a bit, but when you're planning out your layout, you need to take into account your turn radiuses, because it really affects the way trains look. Now, in real model railroading, turn radius also affects how trains run, but because this is a video game, we don't have to worry about that part. Turn radiuses are pretty much just going to affect the aesthetics. Now, with these short locomotives and these relatively short cars, those look fine. It's not great, but it doesn't look bad. Now, mostly what I'm talking about is you can see on sharper or more gradual, being the two polar opposites, a more tight curve, the locomotive hangs over the side of the track, because obviously this is straight. And you can see that it kind of overhangs a little bit on this side. Now, this is a pretty okay-ish curve, but typically more real-world railroads have very, very gradual curves. So using really tight curves can look a little toy-like, I guess. And usually it's more exaggerated on big, long cars. So let's grab like a passenger car. If you grab a few of these, you'll notice that on this curve, especially if I got it straight up, you can see how it doesn't quite. It looks a bit more toy-like. Now, some people really care about this. Some people don't. In the game, it doesn't matter. But I really want to show this part of the game because in real model railroading, you usually would track it by your turn radius or your diameter, right, of your curve. But because the game doesn't use real-world measurements, you have to use the built-in numbers. So when we're doing things like laying curves and we're trying to design a layout, you do need to keep in mind what aesthetic, what kind of balance you want. Because obviously it needs to curve. You can either use really, really gradual curves or really tight curves. And the game has a lot of these built in. If you go back to track, so you can see here, like I was using this curve. This curve is a lot more gradual. So as I put this curve here, let's just try to put it up next to it. This curve will go off the map, essentially, because it's so much more gradual. And I put this passenger car on it. It looks a lot better, at least to me. And this is something I like, really nice, gradual, realistic-looking curves. A lot of people don't care. but it is something to consider. And we're going to go over more of this, not in this video. This will be a different one because this is getting a bit long, I think. But I want to just show this off. And we'll also go over switches in a different video. But this is basic track laying. There's a lot more to go over with just track. And I don't... This is running a bit long, so we're not going to do that here. But I want to sow the seeds. Sow the seeds of what's to come in the series. Yeah, you can see right here it hits that curve. It can look a little, to me. Oops. Oh, there you go. That's what happens when it comes derailed. That's what happens. So we'll mess with that in the next video. I just want to show basic track laying, basic train running, and then we'll go and mess around with all this stuff and actually plan out this layout and place a bunch of stuff down and do something cool. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.